Okay, well again, welcome. My name is Jeannie Arhus, and we're here for tips and tricks and secrets exposed, right? Okay. I'm not much of a PowerPoint person, but you can read all that in the agenda thing. Okay? My goal here is that at the end of this class, you'll have at least 5 or 6 tips that you can use on a daily basis. All right? So, let me know which ones are good, because it's interesting for me as well to find out what you don't know. Because I find these tips when I'm training people, and they see me do something, and they go, "What did you just do?" And I find out, oh, is that a tip? So that's kind of how you collect them, right? You find out what people don't know. And noisy people, if I ask a question, you might go home with something. Okay? But you need to be noticeable too, because I have my little people up here that are going to be watching for you. If they don't see you, then we just have to do it over. Okay. You'll notice a lot of Ford stuff. Let me explain. I don't work for Ford specifically, but I work at Ford. Does that make sense? I spend half my time is doing CAD stuff with Ford Motor Company. So that's where I get all this stuff, and that's why I have a lot of it. So I've got some Autodesk stuff and some Ford stuff, and so that kind of explains that connection. Kevin is my boss at Ford Motor Company. He treats me really nice, so I love working there. And then I have Paula. She also works with me at Ford. So they're very, very nice to work with. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go through these tips. There's no particular order, all right? So it's just a collection. And we will go ahead and get started here. So let's go back to AutoCAD. Viewports. I always find out a lot of people do not really know how to use viewports or don't know how to do a lot of the simple things with viewports. So let's assume you know how to make, let me get this chair arranged here first. I don't know about you, but do your feet hurt? Oh. Okay, so don't mind me if I sit for a minute, okay? I really can think better when pressure's on the right spot. Okay. So if I go ahead and I pick this viewport, if you pick a viewport or if you double click on a viewport, you've got some options to clip it, right? Oh, I don't want that one to come up. We don't want quick properties. Clip. Really what I'm doing is a clip. But a lot of people, what I see, I don't want a square viewport. I want a multi-sided viewport. Is anybody here deleting it and remaking it? And I want people to realize you don't have to do that, all right? Go ahead and just clip or modify the existing viewport, and you're going to notice here that you have a polygonal option, all right? So I'll hit enter, and then I can go ahead and I can just go ahead and give it the start point. So I could come in here and say, well, you know, I want to start about there, and I'm just redrawing the viewport. You can also draw a shape. I didn't pick that option, but you can draw a shape and then just use the object, all right? I love using an object to create a viewport because then you can modify it easier. But if you don't like to do it that way, you can always modify an existing viewport. Don't delete the viewport and recreate it just because you want a different shape, all right? Just okay. More readable text. This is an oldie but a goodie. In fact, anybody who's in R14 can do this. Anybody here in R14? You probably don't want to admit it because it's illegal, right? Okay, so you always hate hearing about stuff you could have been doing for 20-some years, right? But have you ever been in a file where some of your text is upside down and rotated weird so it doesn't really read correctly? Right? There's an oldie command called T-orient. Anybody else know about that one? You do that, and I'm going to select all my objects, and I'm going to hit enter, and it's going to make it most readable. And it just fixed all my text in my drawing to be the most readable orientation. Pretty cool, huh? And it's gotten lost. Thank you. Everybody knew about that one? Does it stay with the view? I'm not sure what it would do. I think it would still work I don't know if it would work in a rotated view. I'd have to check that. I think it would, though. I'm not sure. Okay. I don't have a table here, so I gotta. Okay, another problem that you run into all the time. You've got your text laid out. You go ahead and you go to properties. You need to center justify it rather than left justify it. So you come over here and you try to justify it right to middle center and it moves. Right? Right? Okay, it should never do that. Right? Well, if you use an old command called tjust, text justify, and you select your objects, I can now type in MC for middle center. It doesn't move. And it changed it just like you wanted it to. Don't you think the new command should work that way? Oh, well. Okay. And the last but not least is a oldie but goodie. And this one came up in a class I was doing, actually. And there's a command called I got to spell it right, T-circle, which is kind of weird because it does more than circles. If I do T-circle, I'll go ahead and pick this one. I'll go ahead and use my offset for my text. It's going to draw shapes around my text, but it does more than circles. It does the best one of all is a slot. Or, if you pick it, you can also do a rectangle. Right? So now you don't have to draw your own. No, it's not dynamic. If you edit the text, the graphics won't stretch, but you all know the stretch command, so we can fix that way.
You don't still have to have the express tools loaded in order to use those commands?
I don't know. It used to. I don't think it's part of Express anymore, but I always have my Express tools loaded. Yeah, so you probably do have to have the Express tools loaded. But everybody does, right? I mean, it's like part of AutoCAD. If you don't have it, you're missing all the best stuff. I don't know why Express tools are still separate. You'd think they'd just merge all in eventually, but okay. Okay, did anybody used to use aerial view? Anybody big mappers or anybody like that out there? It is still there, but you have to know how to key it in. So tip number 5, if you're going by the handout, is you do a period DS viewer, and it will turn on your old aerial view again. It is still there. All right? But you got to put a dot in front of it too, so don't forget. It's a weird key in. My first few here are going to be some oldies but goodies, so everybody can use these. Okay. Who knows you know you can trim and extend your dimensions? So I'm going to just key in the trim command. And I'm going to go ahead and say I want to trim this dimension here, so I'm going to select all of that. And if I trim the dimension, it'll trim it back to my object, to my line. If I do extend, you can select the objects, and you can say I want to extend, and it'll extend as well. Do you ever try to trim and extend a dimension? You can. Well, I can't help accidentally. All right. Everybody knows you can trim a hatch, right? You want to trim a hatch? I've got this little area that I don't want the ceiling grid to show up in. Oh, would help if I would pick the right thing. I'm just going to go ahead and select them all, and then I'll trim it to that. Oh, okay, let's try that again. Trim. Select all my objects. I did trim it weird. Did you see what I did? Well, I can't help it if I'm not always a good user. That's what happens when you teach all the time and you don't do it 8 hours a day anymore. So I want to trim the hatch using, oh, come on, Jeannie. I know, I'm just picking it backwards because I'm talking at the same time I'm trying to use my mouse and I'm not sitting heavily enough on my brain. Okay, so then I'm going to go ahead and pick that, and you can trim your hatch. And it's still associated. So Mr. Explode, you don't have to explode it first, right? You should always be able to trim a hatch.
I have an older template that some people are using.
The question.
It doesn't have a variable.
I'd have to look at that. The question was, what system variable keeps that from hatching or that from happening? I'm not aware of one. There's a I'm not aware of one that keeps it from trimming, but there's a O-snap hatch that allows you to snap to a hatch. But send me an email after and I can look at it. Okay, and then I have a question for everybody, if you guys can watch. Who can tell me why this works the way it does? All right, I'm going to put this in my ceiling grid, my light fixture, and it wipes out my hatch, because what do I have built into my block? Who was first? You guys decide. Hey, if he says it's you, I'm not going to disagree. Build wipeouts into your blocks so that they do this stuff automatically. You don't have to trim sometimes, right? Because have you ever had a light fixture move? Whatever you want. If you throw a football, they'll give them warning. We don't want any injuries. I've only made people bleed twice. So build wipeouts into your blocks where appropriate. All you have to do is make sure that you have the wipeout as the farthest back object inside your block, and it works great. All right? Okay. Okay, hatch defaults. I actually want to do a PowerPoint on that one real quick, so let's see here. Do you ever wish that the default hatch pattern was something other than ANSI 31? How many people wish it was solid? Oh, really? That's not very many. Okay, well, I use the example solid because usually that's what people ask me, how can I make my default hatch pattern solid? And the answer is not something I can show you because you have to load it in your AutoCAD app and everything, but it's in the handout. You'll know how to do it. You have to set this in your ACAD doc.list file, all right, which gets loaded every time you run AutoCAD. And if you set it, you can set any name there that you want, though. I just pick solid, all right? And then the next time you get into AutoCAD, when your users want to pick the hatch command, it'll be any hatch pattern that you want to be the most common. All right? Because if you're mechanical, yeah, ANSI 31 makes sense. But, what about us architectural people and, all those others? Okay. How many of you are still using LT scale equals 18 and LT scale equals 9? You guys still messing with LT scale? If you say yes, I'm going to pick on you, right? Because if you said yes, it's like, shame on you, all right? LT scale should now say permanently at like a 1 or 0.5 or 0.375, whatever your factor is that you want to use. And you want to make sure that you turn on MS LT scale, right? So MS LT scale, make sure it's turned on, it's number 1. And now it manages all your LT scales based on that factor. So if I'm architectural, I normally set my LT scale to probably 0.5 or 0.375. I'm going to make it bigger just so you can see it up here on the overhead so you can see my dashed lines. But the benefit of this is now when I go into my viewport where I have multiple scales in my viewport, because I have MSLT scale on, it automatically looks at the scale of the viewport and manages it for me. So it doesn't really matter how far you zoom in or zoom out or what scale you set it to be. The minute I regen here, oops, let me get in here, it's going to automatically make this equal to that. And that's MSLT scale. All right, so get your LT scale set to that standard factor, whatever you like. Leave it alone, don't change it anymore. Turn on MSLT scale and make sure PSLT scale is turned on. And it automatically manages it for you. So you never, ever, ever, ever have to teach someone how to do LT scale ever again. We had a ceremonial burning of those. How many of you have little charts, right? If I'm at 1/4 inch equals a foot, 18 or 48 or 96, right? Now you would just burn them, have a party, and set your MSLT scale. Yes. Yep. It's also managed in model space the same way. Okay? Thank you. She gets a prize. Raise your hand so they know who you are.
My
Okay. Okay, auto numbering notes. You ever have lists of notes? I know I have pretty boring notes, but what can I say? And there is a command out there, right? Another Express tool that lets you auto number notes, but that really wasn't the tip. T-count allows me to number notes, but I always get the question of why people can't control the order. Well, it's the order that you place the notes in. It's the order that you select them in as well. So, shortcut for this, you don't have to pick them one at a time, because I only have 5, but what if you had 35 notes? What you need to do during your selection is just do a fence, right? And go through a letter in the order that you want them to, oops, not that order. Fence. Come down through there in the order that I want with my fence selection, and it'll number them the way you want. I see people going pick, 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 pick. All right? Use a fence. Okay. Yes, it works exactly the same when you're trying to convert text to M text, but be careful because you don't want it all to be one paragraph. Oh. I don't understand, David. What? I have not tried to renumber a leader. The question was... Yes. Yes. If you select your align leaders and you select them with a fence, yes. Yes. Yep. The direction of your fence determines the order of selection. All right. I didn't think David knew. I thought you knew everything. All right. Well, I have to admit I got 3 tips out of Lynn's session yesterday, so there's always something you don't know. And there's always something, oh, I forgot they told me that last year and I never even used it when I got home, right? Could have had something to do with the brain cells that got killed on Thursday night, but I don't know. Just remember, you go back, you download your handouts, you watch the videos again like a week from now when you've recuperated, then you'll remember it. Okay, how many people have ever done this? You're out there drawing a polyline, you accidentally escape instead of closing. How do you close that now? You draw a line and then do a p-edit and close it? You could do PE. Did you know now with these new neat little functional grips that you've got that you can just do add a vertex and come up here? I don't think it's closed. I do have to close. I'm working on a little double click thing that'll close it because now I want to just come in and double click. No, it's not closed. I apologize for that, but it's still quicker. Mostly what I want you to realize is if you need to add something now, how many of you have ever done edit vertex the old way? And you have to go next and previous and go, right? That's not really where I wanted to tell them to go. But now you can just add a vertex, right? And remove a vertex. So it's pretty simple to come in and continue. Now I want to do multiple add vertex, but I guess that's 2014. Okay, here's another situation that I run in all the time. We have this file, whether it's an active file or a reference file, and I want to go into my layer manager and I want to make it look like a background. So I'm going to take all my used layers and I'm going to select them all and I want to make them look kind of grayish. So they look like a background, right? And then I realize that someone in my office doesn't understand the concept of by layer, right? So then you go through, in the old days, you would go through and edit all your blocks, right? Make everything by layer. You know about set by layer by now? Okay, there's a command called set by layer. And you just go ahead and select everything. And it wants to know, do you want to change it to by block to by layer? I'm going to say yes. Do you want to include blocks? I'm going to say yes. And now everything has been changed to by layer. All right? And now you need to go find who is doing that because you need to take their mouse away from them. Okay? But at least I can fix it better now. In the past, it was so difficult to fix that I wouldn't have fixed it. I would have gone and found the person who did it and I would have made them fix it, right? Okay. The next one, I'm on number 13. Anybody ever needed to compare two files and find out what was different between them? Right. Well, in just AutoCAD, there is an app, by the way. If you go up to the Exchange apps, I hear there's an app up there that'll do this. But if we just have AutoCAD, you can go into Design Review. Design Review does this. So if you print both files out as a DWF, all right, because it compares DWFs, then what we can do is we'll go in here and I'll open one of my I took two files. I have a DWG1 and a DWG2. So I created a DWF already out of each of them. I just printed it. And I open that file. Now I have access to this compare sheets command. So if I compare the sheets and I go find the second one that I created because I'm not sure what's different between the two, and referencing them in wasn't obvious enough for me to compare them just by pulling them together and visually looking. All right? So what we've got here under options, you can set the colors of, what's added, what's deleted. I wish there were a few more options here, but, we do what we can. And we go ahead and pick OK, and now it highlights what's different between the two files. Okay? Anybody here who's in architecture, AutoCAD architecture, it has a DWG compare right in it. All right? And you can compare the DWGs without having to save them as DWFs. But I did hear Tuesday that there is an Exchange app that compares DWGs. Right here. I don't know how good it is. I just wanted to make sure that I passed that word on because I wasn't aware of it either. I can't hear you. It's comparing the second to the first. All right? It's taking the second one and comparing it to the first one. They're temporary. I mean, I could print this, but what do you mean markups? I mean, it's just a display thing. It's not going to give you the ability to manipulate it here. All right? To do that, you'd have to be comparing a DWG. So you would need to do that either with architecture or some other app. All right? But a lot of people don't even know they can do that with DWF, right? Okay. The measure commands. Who took certification this week? This was in the certification exam. Who passed? All right. So you had to have known how to do this. All right. The new measure command where you can have the areas to add and subtract, right? If you come in and you want to do areas, you can come in and you can do subtraction. Now, I kind of have to tell you the tip how I used to do this, and I still kind of like my old tip better, but the new area command, right? I'm going to have a rectangle here, and I'm going to go ahead and just put a circle in the middle of it. All right, if I come over here and I do my measure area, if you look at the command line, you can go ahead and add an area. And I'm going to select an object to add to my area. So I want to know what, and it's green if you're adding it. Then I want to subtract the area by selecting an object, and I'm going to select my circle. It turns red. Then when you hit enter, it tells you, see the running total that you're getting on your command line? So now I know what my total area is of the green area subtracting the red area. All right? Now, that's all fine and dandy, and that does still work perfectly well. But one of the things that I like better is I a lot of times will place a hatch out there just to calculate area. Do you guys ever do that? I don't necessarily need the hatches out there. I just like to hatch it so that I can find out what the area is. Because you can hatch an area to go around things, and you can also, add things, right? You can modify the shape. If the hatch is associated, it automatically modifies during the, workflow process. So the area always tells me, the hatch always tells me what the area is. And then if you put a piece of text out there like I did that's linked with a field to the hatch, you can always have an absolute area listed on the drawing, right? Because the hatch area is 85, and I just put a piece of text out there with a field in it. Everyone's using fields, right? Okay. No? You guys are really quiet. Come on, liven up. It's almost party time. I'm not making you stand so you can rest your feet. Okay. Here's a really simple one. I'm going to do a dimension, an angular dimension. And I'm going to go ahead and select these two lines, and I only can get anything less than 90. It's not really what I wanted. I want the whole angle as it goes all the way around. Well, what I discovered is that a lot of you don't realize that if you run this command differently, you can get any angle that you want. So in the angle command, there's a specify vertex option here that nobody seems to know about. If you specify the vertex, and then you specify the two ends, you can have any angle you want. All right? It's been there forever. All right? Okay. The fillet command, we all use the fillet command. And I have changed my radius to 0.5, so I'm out here. Now, here's a cool thing about R13, release 13. Not 2013. Did I say release 13? Okay, I dated myself there, didn't I? Hopefully none of you are in release 13. We remember that, right? Look at the cool little preview you got now. Isn't that nice? It's the little things sometimes when I just love that. All right? Tells me right away I know if I'm right or wrong, and I can fix it before I do it. Okay, but you'll notice that I've got a radius on there. So I would expect that you would want to say R enter, 0 enter, right? Did you know that if you just hold down the Shift key, it automatically sets it to 0? So let's do a line up here. So I can create that. So we'll do the fillet with the radius set to 0.5 right now. So if I did this, you can see where it's going to round it, right? If I hold the Shift key down, it keeps it at 0, and I don't ever have to change my radius. So hold, very good, all right, we got one. They were louder than you guys, though. So the right-hand side of the room's doing better. All right? Holding the Shift key down overwrites any current radius, just for that command. Yes, same thing with chamfer. Okay. Dimension priority. Hopefully everyone knows about this command. It came out in 2010. All right? Under your dimensions, I'm going to go to annotate dimensions, and I'll go ahead and leave this open here for a minute. Oh, actually, it's up there now, so I don't have to do that. It's right there. Dimension. It's called break, though. So what you're basically going to do is you pick a dimension and pick another one, and it automatically breaks it so that you can control the priority of what dimension extension goes above the other, right? And I could do that without explode, right? All right. See, forever now I'll know you as Mr. Explode. Is there a way to put the extensions back to where they cross? Yeah, undo. But I don't think that's quite what you meant. I'd have to think about that one. There might be, let's see, remove style overrides. There we go. So once it's got an override on it, ooh, it looks like it did more than that, though. So you better be careful on that one. But that did get rid of it. I'm going to go ahead and select it. Oh, yes, it will add and remove a break. Thank you there, David. Remove. That better? Okay, now I lost you now. Come up later, and I'll help you with that one. Because I'm having trouble hearing you anyway, and I only got part of that, and it was way too long for me to concentrate. Sorry. It is like what? You know, it is getting late. And I haven't had any beer, I promise. But if you come up, we'll take a look at that. Mostly it's because I'm having trouble hearing you. I'm sorry. It's a big room. Okay. If you have a hatch out there, and you got a microphone? Perfect. Okay, so now we've got a hatch, and this also came out in a recent release. I think this is 12 and 13 only. I have to think about it. If I right-click now, you can set the boundary, or you can now generate the boundary if the boundary has been removed. Okay, 2011 as well. Yep, so that was a great enhancement. However, if Mr. Explode showed up, it doesn't work. So you can't, it doesn't really work on an exploded hatch, right? I hope that makes sense. I think we should just like disable the explode command and make it not a command that's available anymore. Yep. Well, you can, and that's what we were saying. You know, if the evil CAD genie came around to your office, she would redefine the explode command to be a totally different command name, so that when your users type in explode, it doesn't work, and they have to come and ask me what the new command is, and I'd say, what are you exploding? Right? It depends on what you're exploding, whether I'm going to let you know what that command is. You can undefine explode for those problem children. All right. Anybody here doing parametrics? All right. I've got an old drawing here that was just done in plain AutoCAD, but I want to make it parametric. So we start working on this to be parametric, and I'm going to go ahead and hold this. You've got the option of, oops, actually I have to go over here to parametric. It's over here, I apologize, right here. You can convert your old dimensions, right, to parametric dimensions. So I'm going to select them all. Oops. All right. Now I've got a parametric dimension, but I really want the dimensions still to be there. So the thing that some people don't know they can do is you select your dimension here. I'll just do this one. And then up here at the top, you can change dynamic to annotational. And then it'll automatically make it a regular dimension. But I don't want that D2 equals stuff on there either, right? So what you need to be able to do is you come in here and, where is it? Right click, right click. Okay, I'm being blank. There. Dimension name format. All right? And here you can control what that new dimension actually, the annotational dimension actually displays. So tell it that you just want the value and not the format or the name behind it. And now you can just have a regular dimension that is still parametric. Okay? So they should share, right? And this was another one on the certification exam that I noticed. Dim space. This CAD drafter isn't very good at drafting, right? And so we want to use dim space. And what dim space allows you to do is select a base dimension, so that one's going to stay where it is. And then you can go ahead and select another dimension that you want to space and tell it how far you want in between. Now, if you just go with auto, it'll use the settings that are in your dimension style. So that's usually all right unless you're trying to avoid something else. So you could type in a number. I'll just hit enter for auto, and it automatically makes them all match. If I wanted to double check the other side, I could do the same thing. I just select a base, and then I select the other, and it automatically spaces those dimensions so they're all equal. All right? That's for the engineering side of your brain that wants everything to be equal and look clean. Okay, simple 3D little exercise here. All right? I'm going to explode this block. I am. I'm going to explode this block, except I typed in it and now I'm locking up, so it's punishing me. How did I create this flat shot block? How did I create the flat shot block? You guys know about the flat shot command? If you have a 3D shape, you can do flat shot and it'll give you all your flat views, right? So I've got these polylines here that represent my part. Ooh, looks like that one needs to be exploded too. All right, so I did the flat shot, got my blocks, exploded it, so now I've got my polyline. I've got closed polylines here. All right? What I want to do is, now the concept behind this is I only put the 3D model there because I wanted you to see where we're going with this, but I've got an old drawing that's got my 3 views in it. Anybody, you've got multiple sides of the view, and now I want to really make the solid out of it. So I did my 3D rotate and I aligned everything, all right? And then what I want to do is we're going to go to my 3D tools and we're going to extrude. So what I'm going to do is I'll do this one first. I'm going to go all the way over to the corner. And then I'm going to come in and, oh, thank God for select cycling now, right? Don't you love the new select cycling? Down here, the SC, which is on always, always, and forever. So now I can select this, and I know I want to get my polyline, not the solid, because I'm having trouble seeing this. And I'm going to come all the way out till I can see that. I should do this on, let me go over here to X-ray so I can see better. Oops, we didn't want to go that far. Let's change this to X-ray. And now we'll go ahead and extrude this again. We'll pick our polyline, and we're going to come all the way out to, it doesn't matter. I can go too far. It doesn't matter. I don't know why my brain always wants to be very snap to everything, right? And I'm being too careful. And then I'm going to go ahead and take this one, except I didn't go too far on the one. But I can fix that now, right? How easy is it just to pull that straight out if I could get the right one? Oh, well, it'll be close enough. Now, when I do this, I've got all these edges just extruded into each other, right? What do I do now to get my final result? Intersect. I'm always surprised how many people don't know they can do that. So I've taken my 3 flat views, extruded them through each other, and I have a really good solid starting point of my part. It's not going to be perfect because there's going to be things you're going to have to cut through and stuff like that. But if you have a shape that, let's go back a little bit. Why is it that you can always undo better than anything else? Okay, if you have a shape, right? Oops. Let's do didn't have my dynamic UCS on, right? I was still not going to do it. Put a circle in there. If you use your press and pull, the press and pull will acknowledge the circles inside those, won't they? So press and pull them out rather than extruding them. All right? PDF collate, I'm just going to tell you this one because you can read about it in the handout. But if you look at tip, it's basically a system variable. I get asked this question all the time. A lot of people want to be able to publish their PDF to a single sheet with multiple pages or multiple pages. PDF collate will help you control that. So you need to check, publish collate will allow you to control whether you get a single sheet PDF or a multi-sheet PDF. All right, so all you CAD managers, make sure you get that one set right. It's all documented in the handout. I think you can have multiple paper sizes. Okay. Yes. Yep. Because PDF doesn't care. It's just a matter of the order and yeah, it doesn't care. You can have multiple pages or multiple paper sizes in a single PDF. Okay. Okay. I need to get in a file with layers. Printing layers. How many of you want to print layers? Every CAD manager that ever existed, right? How many of you are still going minus layer, listing them all out on your command line, and then copying it and pasting it? Say no. Go into your layer list. All right? Select all. Control C to copy it to your clipboard. Go into your Excel spreadsheet and paste it. Do you know you could do that? Did you know you could do that? All right. Well, that was an awful quiet whoa. All right. But you already won a prize, so you don't get more than one prize for being the loudest person. Okay. All right. So that should be a happy camper for some of you. Now, and I can't help it, I have to tell you, it's not free, so I sometimes hate to tell people about things that aren't free, but there's also a utility that I use out there called Excel to CAD that will let you, not only does it put your layers in the spreadsheet, but it syncs them up, and it puts little color swatches in it and everything. I absolutely love it. It's my absolutely favorite little add-on, but it's not free. So do a search for Excel to CAD and check it out. It's pretty cool. Everyone knows about text to front? I got a bunch of stuff in here. You just can't see it because it's behind all my solid hatches because, of course, I want solid to be my default hatch. So you just type in text to front right? And now with your automatic complete, isn't it nice how you can find all your commands? Right? So you do text to front and you say all right? And all your text comes to the front. Now, what's the opposite way you can do it? What's the new command? Somebody back here knew it. Who was it? Stand up. You got to be proud of it. If you're not proud of it, all right, there he is. Okay, you get a prize. The command is hatch to back. Do you guys know that command? Hatch to back. All right? Sends all your hatches to the back automatically. You don't even have to select them. All right? Is there what? Is there something for wipeouts? No, I don't think so. Because a wipeout's not considered a hatch. It's called draw order. And manually sending them back? Okay. How do you guys like the new command line in 13? Isn't it cool? You know what? I didn't even know I wanted this. You know, sometimes they come up with something and you're looking at it and you're like, oh, I absolutely love this, right? And I didn't really think about that I needed my command line improved. And I know Lynn showed some of this, so I won't go into all the details about it, but I went ahead and I changed my shortcut tips to be bright magenta so everybody could see them, and I highlight it in yellow so you can tell which, but I can come down here and I can pick them now. I don't have to just key in, ooh, green is a really bad color for me to be drawing in, but I can come down here now and I can just pick without having to key it in. Now, all of us old users still like to key in all our hotkeys, but all the new users, or the Mac users, you guys are used to doing some of this stuff, so this makes it really friendly. I actually kind of like it. I like being able to just pick in my command line. And I have a single line command line now, and all that garbage stuff that I don't need fades away. Oh, come on, fade, fade. You got to pause longer. And that doesn't take up any room. Don't you love it? So to me, that would be the one reason why I'd upgrade to 2013, just so I could have this cool little command line. No. If you dock it, you don't get to see that because then it looks like your old command line. Right? Oh, yes, yes, yes. Yes, it doesn't fade away, but yes, it still works down here. Yep, sorry, misunderstood your question. Yes, that still works. But now look how much space it's taking. I'm greedier than that. I just want it to look like that. Actually, it's too long, too, if you think about it. You know, if I was really doing this, I really don't need that much help. Right? I've been doing it long enough that I don't need to have that much help, so I can just make it this little tiny thing. Right? Okay. Viewcube. I love the Viewcube. Now, did you know you could do this, though? And I think this is new. Well, this is for 12 and 13 users only. But if you come in and you select something, did you know that if you hit top or use your Viewcube, this is in 2D, it zooms 6/10 just to what you have selected? All right. And did you know it works in 3D too? Obviously, because the Viewcube is supposed to be in 3D, right? So if I pick a part, let me find a better part. Let's do this little computer chip that's in here. All right, and then I come up here and I pick top. There's the top of my little computer chip. Well, and my humongous UCS icon. Don't you love that? We'll get rid of that guy. All right? So just select what you want to zoom in on and whatever view you want to go to it in. And if you've selected something on your screen, the Viewcube uses that as the extent of what it's going to zoom to. So it's pretty cool. I actually like it in 2D better than 3D, in all honesty. Yes, Orbit does the same thing, yep. But I don't like Orbit. I'm sorry. Okay. Plot stamps, custom stamps. Anybody here still using that old plot stamp that's in the plot dialog? Yuck. It's just not functional enough, is it? I can't control it. I can't put extra stuff on it very easily. Oh, and who doesn't want to see that error message come up every other day, right? You know what to turn off, don't you? I think it's one of the tips in the handout, actually, on how to get rid of that. Irritating layers need to be reconciled, right? It's back in the back. There's 2 or 3 system variables that you can tweak so that you'll never, ever, ever see that stupid message ever again. Okay? All right. So what we're looking at here are a couple of different things I use for every single title block I ever create. Okay? One of them being the plot stamp, the file that I'm in. All right? What I do, if you go over here and look, is I have my title block here that I made up, and I put this over here along the side. And they're fields. Use fields now instead of the old plot stamp, because then you can put them wherever you want them. Right? And you can add extra ones. So I have my, this one's not as, I would probably add plot date, save date, person who plotted it, right? What file they plotted. The other thing I want to be able to do is what reference files were plotted. Did you know that you can put that on your title sheet and it maintains itself automatically? No. Yes. It's a really cool old command. It's remote text. It's an old Express tool. All right? So if I come over here to model space and we look at this, that's all this is. If I edit this, here's what it actually is. It's dollars. It's so friendly. It's $ parentheses xrefs comma 2 close parentheses. Right? You'll remember that like in an hour. But it's in on help. And there's the 2 is just how you want it to display. There's like 2 or 3 different ways. I usually display it without a path because I don't have room in my title block to put all the file paths in there. But what's really cool about it is if I go over here to my reference file dialog, right? And we look at this, here's all my reference files that are attached. And if I want to detach one of them, like I'm going to detach the floor plan itself, I'll go ahead and detach it. Oop, why won't that one detach? It must be a sub one, huh? Let's look and see. Come on. Let me get this so it stays open for you. Let's try doing architect. Now let's do electrical. That one I must not be able to detach that. I wonder why I can't detach that. Oh, you know why? I'll put they're missing. No, it says they're loaded. But anyway, oh, bummer. Why won't that let me detach? But I hit that. I don't think they were. Come on. I know, but now my stupid dialog box is acting up. Let's try opening that back up again. It's not giving me there we go. I was trying to hit this little button here so I could see where it was nested from. Okay, there's the one that's not. All right, we'll do that one. So we'll take this one. Great, that one's nested too. All right, then what I'll do is open that one. Well, but I don't have a thing in there. And then I'll go ahead and I'll detach architectural. And then I'll save it, right? And then I'm just going to go back to where I was. And it's going to have to regen. Come on, figure it out. Didn't I save that? Reload. It's not warning me. Surely I saved that. I didn't close that without saving it. There. Close it. I'm back. There we go. Of course, now my command line's in the way. Let me see if I can get to it. There we go. Come on. Reconcile layers, go away. Regen. Oh, great, now it's not regenning. Save. Well, in normal circumstances, it's not a field. It's a remote text, and usually it just updates. So usually it would just take that out of there. So you can put this out there, and it'll just keep itself up to date as people work. Now, if I save the file and reopen it, it might show it to me then. Come on. There. I don't know why it didn't regen. It normally just regens. See, I wasn't lying. It did it automatically almost. You can't say that never happens to you, right? Okay, so make a smarter plot stamp and add some of this extra information in there and look at what some of the things you can do with remote text. My favorite is the reference file one. That's why I showed it to you. Okay, another one. There's a couple in here, 28 and 29. It's not something I can really demonstrate. It's just a couple of configuration variables that I think everybody needs to tweak. And that is if you're editing a lot of attributes or placing a lot of blocks and you don't want the attribute dialog box to come up while you're just placing the blocks because you can come back and edit them later, you can disable the fact that that dialog box comes up and you can just place, insert, and then come back and edit the attributes later. So it sometimes can make that process a little more efficient. And then the pick box, if you're having trouble with, there's a new variable in the newer releases of AutoCAD that controls how you pick things. So review the pick drag variable, and it's in the handout, and see if you need to tweak that, because they've been playing with how that works in the last couple of releases. Also, annotation background, if you place a piece of text. And it does, oh, tiny text. Well, that's okay, we can zoom in. My mText editor is not set to what I would want it to be set to, because it would not do that to me if it was. All right, and you have your text, and then you want to apply a background. We've had that for a while, but now the coolest thing is that it no longer always resets itself to red. So if you change this to another color, whatever color it is, ooh, that would be a bad one, you'd think it was a field. All right? You change the color, it'll remember that color for you forever. Remember in the old days, prior to 2013, it always went back to red? It just assumed you always wanted red. All right? So it's the little things. I love that one. That one was a huge problem for me. I hated that. Because a lot of times I would set it to be white or black intentionally. Oh, this is a new one for 2013. This is another reason, you know, I better close some files or I'm going to be crashing here. Any questions while I close?
Why would you pick the color white or black as opposed to using background color? Like, assuming you're doing it instead of placing wipeouts or text frame?
Mm-hmm. Because sometimes I'm trying to match something else, a solid hatch that's in my drawing. Otherwise, yes, if you're just trying to emulate wipeout, you would use the background color. You're right. Yep. It what? Yes, it always did that. If you have the use background thing turned on, it always remembers that that's your default. Yes. Okay. Let's take a look at something new in Something new in 2013. How am I doing on time, Kevin? I can't go by my computer. That is not what time it is. That's what time it is in Omaha.
3:51.
Okay. So don't anybody think you're going to get out of here, because it's not really 5:51. I'm just playing with you. Okay. In 2013, you have a new thing down here on the status bar called the Annotation Monitor. And guess what it tells you? It's telling me that these dimensions are not associated, or they're not true. All right? So if you use your Annotation Monitor, it tells you when dimensions aren't what they should be. Okay? So if I come in here and I select this dimension, and I go ahead and I hover right here on this little exclamation mark and I right click, I can reassociate it or delete it. All right, if I pick reassociate, everyone knows you can reassociate a dimension, I hope. We're going to do an intersection here. Right there and there. Ooh, I think I messed it up. Nope, I didn't, other than that it shifted just a little bit. But how can I get that to go home? Ooh, I did mess it up. It went to 0. There we go. All right, so see now it doesn't have that. So you hover on that and right click. You can reassociate the dimension, because that's how you would have to fix that. Or you could set it back to its true value. So if someone comes in here and types in 2 and gets rid of the true dimension, right? Come on, regen. Okay, it's not picking up that one. Why is it not picking up that one? So Annotation Monitor will kind of watch what's going on with your dimensions in the background and help you identify them, because that's the hardest part, identifying what's not right. I got to think about why it's not picking that up. David, why is it not showing me that? I think it will if you let it upgrade to 2013, yes. I'll have to double check that. Come up later, because I want to get through all my tips, okay? And we'll play with that a little bit more. But that's what this is. The 2013 was the first release they came out with this in, and it basically monitors your dimensions. All right, which is nice. Now there's an express tool that lets you change everything that's not true back to true. Yeah, and that's been in there for a while. I don't remember what it's called without looking, but I'll look it up if you come up later. Okay? And I'm telling you all to come up later because I know we have a little bit of time in this room because there's nobody in this room after us, so I could handle some questions afterwards. It works. You have to say that louder.
That works for paper space and Viewport to use.
Yes. Doesn't matter if it's in model space or paper space. Yes. The question was, does it work in both model space and paper space? And yes, the answer is yes. Okay. Model documentation. These are some new things. I wanted to show you where we're headed with this. All right. So what I've got here is a inventor model that I brought in. And we're going to do the model documentation with projected views, all right, and with some of the new tools with the details and sections, all right? So let me get in a file where that's not done. You can import, right? If we go to Insert, Import here, you can import my model. I just already did that, so we didn't have to wait for it. So this is my inventor model. You can also link in an inventor model, all right? And then when you come in here, we'll select this and go to, where is it? Was already there? There it is. Base. All right. Here's where I can do, there's the create view. I'm going to create a base view. Now make note on what tab I'm on. This is new in 2013. You could do some of this in 2012, but not all of it. I can now select the base model space, and when I select base, all right, from model space, it's going to ask me what layout I want to go to. I can just hit enter. Took me to that layout, all right, so the part that I had, all right, and I'm going to go ahead and put this in here. My scale is too big, so let's go ahead and change this to 1:4 for right now. You know what, I did just have that selected. I apologize. I don't think I even have to pick that. I'm going to do base from model space without picking anything. Entire model, layout 1, there we go. So now I've got my entire model, so I can go ahead and place this. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hit enter for that. It's going to give me the next view, the next view, the next view, right? So I'm finished. And now these are all linked together, right? If you've been playing with model documentation in 2012, this is what we could do in 2012. I can come in and I can change this view right here. If I double click on it, I can change it to be a shaded so that I can see it shaded. Because I changed this, remember, this was my base view, so think of it as the parent. If I change the scale of the parent, I'm going to double click on it. I'm going to change it to a scale of 1 to 2. All right? They all change because I changed the parent. If you change a child, then it's not going to change everything else. You change the parent, everything else changes. Don't you wish you could control your own kids that way? In CAD, parents do have control. All right? And you can come in here, and if you have to move this, what's really cool about it is I'm going to move this over, and if I take this and move it, oops, let's go ahead. Actually, I'll move the parent. That'll be a better one to explain. I'll move this one down. See how they're kind of linked? I'll move it over so I can rearrange these till they fit on my sheet a little bit better because they all are kind of linked together and know about each other. How you modify these is basically simple. You just double click and look at your context ribbon and figure out how you want to change it. Do you want hidden line, visible lines? All right? What I just did right here, you can do in 2012. All right? This here was nothing new from what you could do in 2012. No, it does not have to be an inventor model. It can be any 3D part. The fact that you can bring in the inventor model so easily is new in 2013. So I had to show that, right? But no, you could have any 3D model and it'll work just fine. Okay, now we have these additional options in 2013, all right? We can do projected views. We can do section cuts. We can do detail views, all right? So let's say I want to do a section cut, and I'm going to do a section cut of this view, and I'm going to go ahead and draw this. All right, I'll just do the 2 points and specify the location or view. I'm just going to stay on this layout, but you could take it to another layout. All right, I know you can. Oh, yes, you can. I know I did it. Let me think about that.
We tried this in my class. You can't. The other day, they put the basic view back on another sheet off the page somewhere and recreate the section view. So I'm going to ask, can you replace that section view on a different sheet?
This is it right here. Okay, let me think about it because I did it. So I have to think about how I did it because this is not the parent view.
That's not the current view of the section.
I don't know. I don't think so. Let me think about that though. I don't think so. It is the parent view. All right, I lied. Oops, now I went to the wrong file. Okay. Oh, here's something else. Add this to your quick access toolbar, right? Because I don't do the quick view drawings and the quick view layouts. I just can't get used to them. I know I should, but I can't. If I come over here, I added my switch windows. Because how many of you still have your menu bar turned on, even though you use the ribbon? Because I needed tools and I needed window. Those are the two pull-down menus that I couldn't quite give up. So, but now that I put my switch windows on there, I don't really need it anymore. I kind of like weaned myself off of it. So, but I had to put my switch windows up there so it was always available. All right? So, we'll come over here to my layout 1 where we were placing this. If you did the section view, looks like I didn't save it. And we'll just do 2 points. And I'm going to go ahead and specify. I'll put the location up here just so you can see it. All right? And look at what it did. Oh, come on. You can already do that in architecture. You don't need this. Architecture already has that. This was, so that was been in architecture since, if I'm aware, at least 2009, I think. So we might need to talk, because architecture already did this with a building, right? Now, it may not have, it even gives you the label, I think. I'm trying to remember back that far. What version are you in? You're in AutoCAD? Okay, so I'm not sure I understood the question. You mean like a 3D building? Yes. Okay, it doesn't matter what kind of 3D it is. As long as it's a 3D model, you can do this. Don't think it has to be Inventor. Your 3D model can come into AutoCAD from any, you can have part of it in Inventor, part of it drawn in AutoCAD, however you create that 3D model, that really doesn't matter. All right, what model documentation does is allow you to cut it up now. That's what's new, okay? And it does this automatic field labels. Okay, so if you come down here and you double click on this and you edit it so that it's no longer identifier, so now it's a B, all right, then guess what's going to happen up there? Isn't that cool? Oh, I guess I was more impressed. Okay, then there's also a detail, all right, if I want to come in and I want to look at a detail, let's say that I want to come in and look at the top of this. All right, what kind of detail do you want? All right, I'm going to go ahead and create a boundary. I want it to be circular, and I'm going to create my little circular boundary. And then I'll go ahead and hit exit. And then now there's some options here. If I double click on this, this even impressed me more. I was like, this is so cool. All right, I can have a jagged edge. I can have a smooth line with a connector line. Oh, come on, that's such a cool thing. Autodesk needs to know when they do something right. This was so cool. I was so impressed with this because this is really helpful. So now I can move this around and put this somewhere on my sheet, and it's my detail. And as you can imagine, if you modify this, what's going to happen? Can I move this text? Yes. This text here, yes, you can, oops, if I can get the right one. There you go. Come on. Not that one. Come on. M text. Move it. Okay. It works with any, you mean drawing a detail, works with any model. could you do that on floor plan? If it was, I think it would have to be in, you'd have to be using model documentation to create a parent, to create a model. You'd have to create a model documentation view, and then the answer would be yes.
And the underlying geometry must be 3D.
Yes, did you hear that? The underlying geometry must be 3D. Okay? But it's pretty cool. Okay. Yes, all the views update. So it's an inventor model, so I didn't link it in, but if you came in and you modify the 3D model, all the views update. Now, if you turn off the automatic update, they kind of all they get a red square around them telling you that the model documentation views need to be updated, and you just update them. There's an update view on them. All right? So here's the update view. So if you go over to your paper space and you see these red boundaries that are going around all your model documentation views, just update the view, and it goes back and reads the 3D model and updates all the views. Otherwise, you can turn that on automatically, but if your model is very big, you're not going to want to do that. All right? Yes? On that view, zoom out on this view? Yes. That's what the question came up earlier, and I think the answer on that is no. Drawing view, pick that. Let me try to do a copy. I think our answer is going to be no. I don't think it's going to give me, yeah, no. Still got my layers in there, doesn't it? Come up later on that question, because we got a couple people that have that question, and I'll address that then. But I want to get through, how much time do I have? I want to get through a couple more of these. Okay, the new frames, I don't really need to demo this because it's a pretty simple one, but just be aware that in 2013, there is a new frame selection setting that allows you to use wipeouts with their frames. I guess I should show you this, because since I told you that you all should be using wipeouts. It's tip number 33, but this affects more than just a wipeout. In the past, you had T-frames, right, where you could T-frame and you could toggle your frames on and off, but if you wanted to modify the wipeout or modify the image file or the clipped reference file, you had to do the T-frames back on, make the modification, and then they plotted, right, and you had to T-frames back off. Now you don't have to do that. There's a new variable that allows you to keep the frames hidden where they cannot be selected, or keep the frames hidden where they can be selected, which is obviously you want the default. And here, the frames are hidden, but I can still select them. So I don't have to even worry about T-frames anymore. Yay! Because it never failed. Somebody plotted it with that stupid T-frame on, didn't they? Okay. Oh yes, tip number 34. Have you had enough layers reconciled? Yes. So I've got the two variables there and how you need to turn those off to disable that. All right? This one, somebody came up to me at the conference and said, you showed me how to do this last year and I can't remember. How do I do it? Okay, you're inserting a block. I'm going to use the new command add selected because I don't know the name of that block and I don't want to know. Right? So I selected it, right-clicked, did add selected, and I'm placing this, but that's really not how I want to place it. I want to place it by the midpoint of the front. So this is the oldest command option, but I am always amazed how many people don't know they can do it. There is a base point option right there in the insert command, right? If you just type in, oh, no, we have to do it the new way. I have to come down and select it, right? Oh, great, now it's down there. Right there. And now I can place it that way. Or if I just do B enter, I could place it by that point. How many of you forgot you could do that? Yeah, I mean, the base points aren't always in the right place. Now, what should you do if your base point's always in the wrong place? What should you do? Edit your block and redefine it, right? And are you going to explode your block and remake it and then make it a block again? What are you going to do instead? All right, right here, block editor. David had it right. So, thank you, Paula. I don't save my blocks out with WBlock and all that in separate files anymore. I make a block library because they're all dynamic, right? So I don't do that anymore. I save my blocks in a block library where I have a library with all my furniture or a library with all my something, and then I use another method like tool palettes or Design Center to bring them all in, right? So I store my blocks different now. Okay, 36, cycle base points. All right? Actually, this is not the right file. Let me go back to the one I was in. All right. If I have a block here, let me do an add selected so I can show you. I'll do an add selected, and then I'm going to go ahead and do a tab key. All right, did you see how, come on, why is that not working? Maybe I didn't have it in there. Maybe it's the wrong file. Let me check my block. I'm going to go into block editor. All right, yeah, they're in there. These are base points in my block. And if you put base points in your block, they have no other function other than when I insert my block, I'm going to try something and see if it makes a difference there. All you do is hit the control key. Oh, you know what? When you do add selected, it won't let you do this. That's a bug. Well, I think it's a bug. Now it's up to me to convince Autodesk it's a bug. But now, because I have those base points, those point parameters specified in my block, when I go to insert my block, I have 4 different options, and all I'm doing is hitting the control key. So now, in my normal block, I have optional insertion points by default. And I don't have to do the B. Cool? And all you have to do is edit the block and add point parameters. All right? They don't have any other function other than to do that. Just stick a point parameter in there and save it. Now, when I did my add selected, we're going to verify that it wasn't just me. Now, when I do my control point, it doesn't work. Okay, I'll log that one. So it only works, the points only work on the alternate by hitting the control key if you're in the insert command. Yes? No, I did it with control.
Yeah, but the first one you next to control, you got add selected.
But then it stopped. It only did it once. It only did it once. So see, now when I'm doing, it wasn't working right. When I do add selected, I should be able now to go control, 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 control. So if I do tab, now it's not working right. It's not an attribute. So insert works fine. But now I'm control, 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 control. But add selected isn't giving me that option. So what's the tip? Use insert. Oh, do we? Okay. How much time do I have? Okay. All right. Yeah, but that's not in my handout. I have about, how many tips do I have, Paula? I probably have 2 days worth of this stuff if we really went through everything, but we can't cover everything. Okay. 37. How many people have ever hit F1 on purpose? None of us, right? I mean, do you really ever go to the online help for help? It's helpless. I'm sorry, but the online help has got, I hate to say it, I apologize, Autodesk, if you're in the room, but it's gotten worse and worse and worse, right? So I never go to the online help for help. It's just, no. I go to Google for help, right? So one of the things, and honestly, you know, this was when I was working at Ford, we had a little bit of a hardware issue with not everybody having the best machines, right? And they would hit F1 and it'd be like, oh, go get some coffee. So we disabled F1, right? And because it's a few steps, and if you're not an expert at the CUI, I put all the steps in the handout for you on that one, all right? But disable your F1 key in so that it does escape. So that because when do you accidentally hit F1? When you're going to hit escape. So why don't you make F1 do an escape, right? So make it do an escape, and if you really want to go to help, go up to the pull-down menu and go to help. It's still there, you're just not going to get there accidentally, all right? So I gave you all the instructions on how to do that, okay? P-edit. I know, how many were in Lynn's class yesterday? Okay, well, most of you are newbies then, good. So there's quite a few people who didn't get to see them yesterday. Oh, I guess I already have that one open. So I'll use my new little switch windows up here. Okay, you find this line, you want to turn it into a polyline. What do? P-edit, right? Then you do P-edit, and you select it, and it says, it's not a polyline. Do you want to turn it into one? Who has ever answered no? Anyone ever said no? No, everybody has been saying yes for years. All right, so this is a setting that's been in there since you don't even want to know how long. P-edit accept. And yes, you could change it in the command and make it not do it, but then it only works for that one command. So here, let's make it permanently go away. P-edit accept. Turn it on. Now when you run P-edit from this point to eternity, well, until they reload your machine, all right, it'll never ask you that question ever again. All right? Yep.
That's in the profile. So you have multiple profiles for multiple.
It is in the registry. Yes, it is in the registry, so if you do work with multiple profiles, you have to do it in every profile. All right? So yes, you're absolutely correct. He can have a prize. That's a good tip.
We're at 4:15, Jeannie.
Thank you, Kevin. Oh, wait, yes. Paula. That's okay, but come back here because the one you're about to give away is yours.
Oh.
For helping me. And they can have whatever they want, but
We can
I
get
saved
more,
those
you
two
know.
little bag things are for my helper people. It's a little travel kit, so you get a little mouse and a little fly light and a little earplugs, you know. I almost think anymore we almost need to have a medical mask. Okay, here's another one. It's not turned on by default. All right, you're trimming the command. I want to trim all these horizontal lines back to this edge. And I'm going to do my fence, and I'm going to go through here. And it won't trim because it says object does not intersect an edge, right? All right. Another one that's been turned off since it's been forever. Edge mode, turn it on. Now it's on permanently in the profile, just like the last one was forever. All right, now when I run trim, and I select this as my edge, and I do my fence, doesn't care if they cross or not. And it'll always work that way. All right? How did I what? Oh, I know you don't. There is an edge mode right inside the command. Okay. Right reading your line types. I can't really demo this, but if you read number 40, new in 11, 12, and 13, they now have a new variable. Everybody knows what their AutoCAD.lan file is, right? I can open up the file and show it to you. All right. What you need to do is you need to come in here and add, I thought I'd already added it. Well, it's in the handout. Oh, yeah, I did. There it is. I'm just being blind. There's a new variable in there. Can you guys see that? U equals 0.0. How many times have you ever drawn the gas line and the text is upside down? Right? And you have to reverse the line using the reverse command, or you've got to go, draw the other direction. If you would just add this to your LIN file now, it will always be the right direction for text no matter which way the person draws. Okay? But you got to edit your files. Okay? Because they don't have it in there by default. So add this, and I gave you, it's in the handout so you'll know what to do. Go in and just add that new option into the LIN file, and now no matter which direction I draw, I will be able to have right reading text. It works on anything, curves, splines, anything that you want to control the order of the upsy downsy. Is that a technical term? And if you don't want to do that, then you can always reverse the object. That's the next tip, right? So if you have a line type like with an arrowhead on it or something, you can always reverse it and then the arrow's on the other end, right? Object isolation. Are we using that? This actually was I'm an AutoCAD architecture person. And I loved this in architecture, and it was forever before they brought it out in AutoCAD, but now it's here, and I absolutely love it. If I select something in my drawing and I right-click, I can now isolate the objects, and it's just that one object, all right? But what's cool about it, think about it if you're working in a large road plan or a large floor plan or mapping or something. If you want to work in just this area, you can go ahead and say, I want to isolate those objects, and now my zoom extends sees those. How many times do you zoom extends and that whole project comes back, and I don't want the whole thing. I just want the area, the intersection I'm working on, right? So it's isolated. They're not gone. Think of it as a object on and off. Down here, there's a red light bulb that tells you you have things hidden. You can also get to it from here, and you can say end object isolation. Oh, I forgot to turn on my best prize of all. I have to turn it on so you guys can watch it for just a couple minutes. So we got so busy. Ooh, isn't that cool? Do you? Well, you'll have to know the right answer. We'll see if you know the right answer. And you're going to have to be loud. Okay. See, another benefit of being in the front row is I can hear them. Right? Okay. So you can hide objects, you can isolate objects. Now, if you hide objects, I'm pretty sure you're smart enough to figure out what that one's going to do, right? What's it going to do if I pick hide? They're going to disappear instead of just be isolated, right? Okay. Some of my favorite commands. I love that because I work in large plans. I don't know about you, but if you've ever seen a manufacturing plant for Ford Motor Company, right? I'm always amazed at all the stuff that's in that drawing. Okay. How many million square feet are in that one plant, Kevin? 3.5 million square feet in one plant. So the drawings are way complex. So believe me, this is a huge thing because it makes their machines run faster. If they can isolate just the line they're working on, then it just makes the machines faster because then they can hide all the rest of that stuff, right? Yes, it does improve speed. Oh, I'm not a Civil 3D person, so I don't know the answer to that. No. An XREF is just, it won't work with XREFs because they're just one thing. But you can clip an XREF and then that works. It doesn't have to be a permanent clip. You can temporarily clip it. Okay. I got 5 minutes. Do I have more than 5 minutes? Okay. I got a couple. I'm just going to walk through. I'm just going to talk about these last few because you guys can read, right? Most of you? Well, I know you can read everything but the command line. Okay. So you can read the last few. There's not that many. Pay special attention to the double-click actions one. That one's really, really cool. Because wouldn't it be cool if you could double-click a line and turn it into a polyline? You can. Just have to edit it so that that's what it does. You have double-click actions. All right? So you can read the remainder. I know there was a couple questions. All right? I'm going to ask you a couple questions to see if you know the answers. Let's see, which one should I quiz them on, Paula? Okay. Oh, I know. Well, no, I'll do that one last. Okay. How can I place text in my drawing that updates itself automatically based on an object? It was a female over in this area. Yeah. Oh, no, don't give her that. You can give it to her that with something else, but she doesn't want a little stupid. I had some of those extra little planes they were giving away. Those balsa planes. You don't want a balsa plane. Icky. Okay. Get ready. The loudest person wins. Which was your favorite class? I couldn't tell. Could you? Okay. Okay, I got to ask another question because I couldn't tell. You guys pay attention now. All right? That's not going to be the same question. I'm not like that. I mean, come on. Has to be harder than that. I got to think of something really hard. What should I ask him that's super, super hard? I'm drawing a blank. It's been a long week. Okay. What are the options? Oh, no, that's got too many answers because you can't shout that one out. What grip lets you add a vertex on a polyline? Not the square. Dash. That's what I was looking for. I think it's a dash. Don't you think it's a dash? The square ones are on the corner. It's the dash ones that are at the midpoint. Sorry, you have to think like me to win. No, he gets this little guy. Paula. He gets this. But I have to unplug him, so come up and get it, okay? You get the brain globe. Okay? I think that's it, isn't it? All right. Anybody else have any questions? First of all, I thank you. Do your surveys.